Do you feel like you're having difficulties letting go of someone you love? Do you feel like when you do, your life will fall apart? Do you fear that if you let them go, that you will never find someone that you loved as much as you did with them? I know what it feels like because I used to be that person, and I sometimes still am the person who has difficulties with letting go of people I love or I loved. Now, the notion of love is, I believe, supporting others into becoming the best version of themselves. And sometimes that means letting go. Sometimes it really means to let them be whoever they need to be, and sometimes that means that you are no longer part of that story. Sometimes you have a chapter together, you create a chemistry together, you connect, you share memories, and then you part ways, and that is part of the process of them and you becoming the best version of yourselves. So whenever I feel like I'm struggling with letting go of someone I love or I used to love, I think to myself, this is exactly the way it's supposed to be. I know that faith, that life, that the universe intended this to happen. And that brings me peace. It brings me peace to know that letting go of the person I love is an act of love. It is an act of me supporting them to become their most authentic selves. And it's hard sometimes to accept that maybe you are no longer the person to walk that path together with them. Maybe you are no longer the person who needs to share yourself with them in order for them to develop themselves more authentically. And it's the same for yourself. Maybe you need to be alone right now for a while. Maybe you need to pick a different path. In fact, you have to pick a different path because you already are on that different path. This person is no longer in your life, and that is okay, even though it's painful. It is what it is, and it sounds cliche, but it is the truth. Stop resisting whatever is. Stop resisting that they are no longer here, and accept that this is what love intended for us. This is what is supposed to be happening, because it is no different. You can't deny the truth, and the truth is this person you loved is no longer here. Maybe they are still in your mind, maybe they are still in your heart, and that's a beautiful thing. Allow them to be there, but not to the degree that it causes you to suffer. Okay, don't let people live rent-free in your head. Okay, try to not spend too much time obsessing about them. It's important to, okay, they're there, they're in your mind, they're in your heart. Send them gratitude, wish them well, and then let it go. Let it happen, let it be. It is what it is. There is no way to change that. And we want to believe that there is ways to change it. We want to believe that we have control over what is happening in that certain situation, but we don't. We really don't have the control. That's the beautiful thing about loving someone, or about love in general. You can't force it. You can't force someone to love you, and you can't force yourself to love someone. It happens naturally. That is the beauty of love. It is uncontrollable. You literally can't control it. It is just an authentic, vulnerable surrendering. It is a surrendering to yourself, to others, and that is what makes it so beautiful, because there is no other way than to be vulnerable in love. You can't love without being vulnerable, and accepting that you love someone but they had to leave is part of that loving process. It's part of letting go. Truly letting go is understanding that they needed to leave, because that is what life intended for them, and that is also what life intended for you. Them leaving is teaching you a lot of different things. Them leaving is teaching you patience. It's teaching you faith. It's teaching you to trust in your own abilities to heal and to move forward. And that's a beautiful thing. So letting go of someone you love is about accepting. It is about knowing that this is the way it is, and it shouldn't be no other way. It should not be any other way. And coming to terms with that, knowing that you will find yourself again. You are already doing that. And part of that is coming to terms with letting go of that person. It is coming to terms with letting die that part of you that is still attached, that is still holding on. And usually it's out of fear. In my case, I remember whenever I was struggling with letting go of someone I love, I was afraid. I was afraid that if I let them go, that my life would fall apart, that my identity would collapse, that I would never find someone who would make me feel the same way as they did. Or maybe even I was afraid that they would meet someone who would be worse for them, or someone who would treat them badly, or someone who would hurt them. I was afraid that that might happen. But that's no longer up to you anymore. That is in their hands. That is in the universe, its hands. That is no longer your responsibility, and it never was in the first place. Your responsibility is always to treat people to the best of your abilities, with your best intentions. And letting them go is part of those good intentions. Wish them well, but don't take responsibility for their future. You have no longer anything to say in their lives. When they decide to leave, or when they leave because of different circumstances, you need to really come to terms with that. And I know it's hard, I really do. I had many days where I was resisting, where I was unable to accept it. But like I said, it's usually rooted in fear, because we as humans, we don't really like change, especially not on that fundamental level. When you open yourself up to someone, when you allow yourself to love them, we want to hold on to that because it feels safe, it feels comfortable, it feels good. And when that gets disrupted, we are in chaos. We find ourselves in chaos. And that's scary. That's really, really scary. But it's also very energetically charged. There is a lot of potential energy in that process. There is a lot of energy that is being released. When someone you love leaves, or when through circumstances you get separated, the energy that is freed up there, you have the magnet. You two are together, okay? And then it gets pulled apart, it gets separated. Well, there is a lot of potential energy between that. Now, when it fully breaks apart, the energy snaps and it stays with the parts in themselves, right? So you gain this momentum. It's an explosion of energy when it snaps, and when you finally let it go, that's when you can really release all this energy, and you can put it to something productive. You can put it to a bigger cause, So that's why I think it's really important to focus on a bigger cause, to focus on why you are actually here, what you're actually here for. And it's a big question to ask yourself. It's a scary question to ask yourself. It took me many years to figure it out. And in fact, I am still figuring it out as I go, right? You find a direction, you move in that direction, you keep moving, and you adjust the journey. Sometimes you need to crawl over a big rock, or you need to go through a waterfall, or you need to go through a river, or whatever it may be for you, the obstacles that you come across. Those are your challenges. Those are specific to your path. Now, the energy that you gain from the separation is very powerful. It's a very profound energy. And you can use it to put it into something that is important to you. And right now, maybe if you're struggling with letting go of someone you love, this person seems to be the most important thing. And they consume a lot of your thoughts and energy and focus. And that's okay. You can allow that to happen. You can allow that to be there. But know that the more energy you're sending them, the less there is for you. And you need this energy to heal. You need the strength and the focus and the attention and the care to heal. And by wishing them well, you can take this focus on them and let it go, right? I wish you well. May you be free of suffering. May you be happy. May you be surrounded by the people you love. And by doing that, by understanding that they needed to go this path, and this is what it means to really love and support them. To love someone is, I believe, also to let them go to a certain extent. Because if you're trying to hold on too much, you're keeping them in a cage. You're keeping yourself in a cage as well. And I know it's very scary to really let people go. But to fully come to terms with them leaving, them not being there anymore, shows that you have an inner centeredness, you have a groundedness, you have an inner sense of worthiness, resourcefulness. You're centered in your own being. And that is so powerful. That is so attractive also. Because like I said earlier, love is a voluntary act. You can't force it. And when you're centered in your being, in your spirit, when you're grounded in yourself, that is massively attractive. So that will keep the people who love you for who you are around you. That will make you very magnetic, very charismatic. And when someone leaves, in that case, you're still in your center. And you can wish them well, you can let them go. And you don't get disturbed, disrupted as much. So focus on being in your center. Focus on developing your inner resourcefulness, because it's there. You just need to give it enough time and attention and energy. So letting go of someone you love, I know it's really difficult, but I also know it's the right thing to do. It's the right thing to do for you always. If they decide to leave, or if the circumstances make it so that they disappear out of your life, maybe even for a long time, a short time, it doesn't really matter. Letting go is always the right option, because if at some point they come back, or if at some point you meet them again, if you fully let go, then you're also able to reconnect, because letting go doesn't mean you close them off. It's more of, I wish you well, have a great journey, and maybe at some point you will return home, and that is beautiful. Or maybe you will not, and you will find home somewhere else, and that is equally as good. There is no right or wrong here. I think that if you understand this, if you truly understand this, that you will have more ease to let them go, to wish them well, because ultimately that is what I believe it also means to truly love someone. And as always, thanks so much for watching, guys. I'll see you tomorrow.